All right, everybody, welcome into the Pillow Talk edition of, this is the second of two streams that I personally am involved in here. Hi, Pugs Moran. Glad to meet you. Second of two streams we do each and every day here on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. The first one is High Noon. That comes on at noon every day. Today it went till 3, typically goes to around 2 o'clock. That's topics, that's headlines, that's trends, that's anything that people are talking about today. I try to give you a little bite-sized nuggets of information about what the hell all them weirdos are talking about. This is a whole different animal, boy. This comes on Monday through Thursday. Yeah, Monday through Thursday. Oh, I just realized I left the mayonnaise out there on the counter. At some point, I should probably put that back in the fridge. This is called Pugs and Parker Present Pillow Talk on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. I'm the Pugs part of that. And then we've got Parker. Parker's here too. He comes to us every night, Monday through Thursday. Parker's here. Parker. Into his. Hi, Jeff. Look at Jeff. Jeff says, after last night, now I know how it feels to be waiting by the phone and getting stood up by the quarterback on a Saturday night. Jeff, you got to follow me on Facebook, or at least on Twitter or something like that, because I tried to let everybody know. I let everybody know that I was pulling the plug on the show last night. Parker, I hope I gave you enough time. I hope you didn't.
No, you absolutely did. You know what? I should repost that stuff because some of these people are my followers. They get herded in here too.
Guys. Jeffrey's one of your guys.
I'll have to take blame for that one. Apologies, Jeff. I'm glad you even give a rat's ass.
Yeah, nice. All right. How are you, Parker?
Man, I'm pretty good. I'm all right. Pretty good. All right.
Not a ringing endorsement of your current
No,
state.
people are pissing me off, actually.
Yeah, let me hear it. Me too. Go for it, son.
Well, for one thing, two of my best friends in the world keep standing me up, and you think you feel bad last night, Jeff. How many times have I had to? How many times have we tried to have the tramp on? Where she's like, "Sure, I'll be on tonight."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, she ghosted me again today. She's told me yesterday, "Hey, I can be on tonight." And even after you canceled, I didn't say anything because I knew she would stand me up.
Oh, that was last night?
Well, she said like yesterday morning. Oh, okay. She's like, "Hey, we've got the new router in, and I'll be ready to go tonight." And I'm like, "Fine, sure, we'll send you a link." She never said anything last night, even though we didn't have a show. And so then today I'm like, "What's up, bruh?" Nothing. So the tramp stood me up again, and then my stupid tranny friend can go off and lose his job and have nothing else to do and still not come on the show. So
yeah, what's what why were you did you want to bring your tranny friend on? I'd love to have him.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What am I supposed to do here? I don't even know how to address the person.
Well, you don't have to worry about the respect factor until he actually gets off his lazy ass and comes on the show.
I don't know. I suppose it could be framed as respect. I just I don't want to be the old guy who's blissfully unaware of how out of step he is and say the wrong thing.
Yeah, you know? like when Bill Parcells said Oriental. It's like, I know your heart's not in the wrong place, but we don't say that anymore. You know, I get you. I get the feeling.
That's not what he said. Hold on, that's not. He didn't say Oriental. Did he say Oriental? Because
no, he said Jap play. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. He said it's a Jap play.
It's one of them Jap plays.
Yeah, like the Japs have never done anything sneaky. Right.
Yeah. Well, haven't we all?
Well, and look, I'm comfortable with the word Jap because my grandfather had a glass eye, and you know why? It's like, Grandpa, you have a fake eye? I didn't know that. He's like, "Yep, got hit in the eye from a Jap sniper." And I'm like, you know what? You're allowed to say that. Literally shot you in the face.
If you went to war with the people, I think you're allowed to. One of my favorite old guys saying the wrong thing and paying the price for it was there is a very famous Chicago sports radio talker who is not, and here's the crazy thing. He wasn't even an old guy. He was like younger than me when he did this, and he got drummed off the air forever after having like a 30-year career where he was the number one guy. His name was Mike North.
Oh, I love Mike North.
Oh, you know North? Okay.
Oh man, that guy's so good. He got in trouble.
Oh yeah, he got kicked. It's why he doesn't do radio anymore. That's why he's banned from Chicago radio. He's also kind of a troublemaker, but I enjoyed him. He Cubs got an Asian pitcher This is going back like 12 years. He hasn't been on the air in quite some time. Actually, that's not true. He's doing a gambling show now on weekends on ESPN 1000.
Well, he was still on the air like 7 years ago because he
No.
used to be on the morning show for the sports station.
Yeah, no, not in Chicago. No, he kind of ended
He was on
up,
Fox Sports 1.
he went to work for some like rinky-dink sports
Or
national.
Fox Sports Radio. Yeah. He was on, it was Andy Furman and Mike North.
Yeah, but he was not in Chicago. He was
okay. So what did he say?
He said, Northy. He said Cubs got an Asian pitcher, and he started to say, he started talking about how, first of all, Mike North's a funny guy. He's funny, and he is what he is. He's one of those guys from that generation. So someone's Asian. That was kind of rare back in 2004 or 2005 or whenever he did this, and not like it is now. And he kept referring to him as the Chinaman. Even though he was from Japan, it's just they got the Chinaman out there pitching today, don't they? And people were like, "Oh God!" Chicago has a massive Chinese population and a massive Asian population, and we got a massive Chinatown. And yeah, it wasn't good for the advertisers. The advertisers like, he can't do that.
That guy is so good on the radio.
He's entertaining. I don't know that why would I choose to argue with you on that? He's obviously a successful guy, and I listen to him religiously for
Darn, he's got like the Chicago accent where he almost sounds like someone's making fun of someone from Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like that's
let me play.
Great.
Since we're talking about North, I'll play a little something from one of my favorite things he got.
I'm so happy you know that guy.
Oh, I know him personally. Like, I've hung out with him.
Oh man, I'm so jealous. Dude,
not like we're buddies or anything.
Right, but hanging out with him means like you have sat across the table from him and chatted. But they used to do the funniest bit. So they have a sports show, and sometimes there's just not anything going on in the sports world. And I've been there because I've done sports before, and sometimes it's like just like baseball hadn't started yet, and they're just trying to fill some time. And so they used to do this bit every day where they would pick the ponies. So they would get out the whoever was racing down at the track that day and just do a couple of races. And the whole bit was the horses' names were so ridiculous. And then you were just trying to pick who won based on the name of the horse. And then at the end of the week, the producer actually kept up and he would score like who won. So they would pick a bunch of races every day and just mock the names mercilessly. And that was the whole bit is everything that they would come up, they would just riff, like improv riff on the horses' names.
I can't find it. I can't find it. Anyway, I was looking for a specific piece of tape that I always loved, which was Mike North manufacturing a fight with Ozzie Guillen on the air. And that's not a guy you manufacture a fight with, because
why would he do that?
As over the top as Mike North was, Ozzie Guillen was just as over the top, and it was just brilliant. It's one of the great moments in Chicago sports radio history where they're not just screaming at each other, and Ozzie's like drifting in and out of Venezuelan or whatever. Is that Spanish? I guess he's going in and out of Spanish, and he's screaming at him, and he's like, "Don't you talk to me like that, Ozzie!" You would almost think it was fake, except it was 100% real. Mike North also, I was just reminded that he was kicked off the air briefly for the Chinaman comment, but then he was kicked off the air permanently because he did one of them shady radio things where he got involved with some people that were doing illegal stuff, and he was like, it was a big scandal. It was a big scandal. He didn't go to jail like the dude that was Boomer Esiason.
Craig Carton.
Yeah, but it was one of them kind of deals. It was one of them kind of deals where he actually turned, I guess. He turned stooly on like the people that he was against. So I'm not entirely sure what the story is. He may not have turned to something very sketchy is all I'm saying. But yeah, I like Mike North. He just wasn't
with all the radio hosts being so sketchy.
Oh, are you kidding me? Oh,
we're worse than pastors.
No, not worse than pastors, but yeah, we are up there. We should create a pecking order of the absolutely most duplicitous people that walk among us. By the way, James, where would you rank? Would you rank youth pastors as more troubling than pastors? I do. I think youth pastors are even more troubling.
I think the troubling ones are not the youth pastors. I think it's the actual pastors. And I would even lean more Protestant than Catholic. Catholics get a lot of press for it.
Catholic priests, we don't call them pastors. Catholic
Right.
priests are just um, unnervingly evil, just pure evil in many regard. Nuns, pure evil in many regards.
Well,
So
the main
they're
difference
not
between
corrupt as much as they are just evil, like agents of Satan masquerading as the opposite. I went to Catholic school. I can say this. I'm a
I
lapsed Catholic.
the big difference that I have noticed, and this is all anecdotal because I have a very limited experience with the Catholic world, but from all the priests that I've met versus all the pastors that I've met, the priests are so beta. They're kind of soft and effeminate, and every once in a while you get like a burly, sort of half athletic one, but for the most part, no, these are like the not
Yeah.
the
I would say you haven't met a lot then. You haven't
okay.
been around a lot because the difference is
They're all soft spoken and
yeah, some to a degree. Yeah, there are some like that. And you know what? I shouldn't say this because I could also rattle off a number of priests who I think are really great people. So I should, but there are the bad ones always stick out. And the bad ones are always the one you remember, the petty ones, the ones that are vindictive, that have egos. Here's the difference between priests and pastors, okay? Pastors truly, I think on some level, they know that they're a little sketchy. They're like regular people. They're like car dealers who have been elevated to this position of prominence within their congregation. Catholic priests legitimately believe in their voodoo. Like that they like almost like the monarchy truly believes that they've
and
been
their
appointed by
congregation
God.
feeds into it. They're
Oh
like,
yeah,
"Oh, he's so holy." I'm like, "I've never said that about a pastor."
there's a
I
lot of magic, man. There's a lot of magic involved in the Catholic Church, and people buy into it. And there's not that degree of magic when it comes to, the showmanship of like a Joel Osteen or, those kind of mega preachers. Those guys are more just like car dealers, whereas Catholic priests are truly troubling, narcissistic, delusional men who have bought into this whole idea that they were appointed to this
Yeah,
by
and whenever you do the sing talk thing, like "Welcome to the church, let's all have a cracker," like we don't do that in the Protestant world, and that freaks me out. Amen. It's like, did you just say amen? I think it just took him like 8 syllables to say amen.
as we gather here on the day of the Eucharist and our Lord. And then a bell rings out of nowhere. Ding, 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 ding,
Oh,
ding, ding,
yeah,
ding.
right?
It's all
What the
very
hell?
spooky. Dude, that is
It
one of the things
is.
that I do like about the Catholic Church is that it is all very spooky. It is very goth. Like when you go to a
Goth. Yeah, right?
it's very goth. That's why I always say that, like, I don't trust any church that has carpeting because, like, Catholic churches do not have carpeting. They're hard floors. You hear every footstep clicks and echoes because they're cavernous and they're dark and they're brooding.
Horrible acoustics.
Oh man, but yeah, you couldn't have a dude playing a guitar at a Catholic church. Are you kidding me? It's built for a choir and some big old pipe organ. It's a much different. It's a weird religion. I do enjoy. I describe myself. I mean, look, I'm agnostic and I'm lapsed Catholic, raised Catholic, but I do enjoy the pomp and circumstance of being culturally Catholic. The way I know a lot of Jews who are like this too. I don't really believe in all that stuff, but I like being a Jew on the high holidays. I like the beanie. I like going to temple once in a while, but I don't really want to commit like as a day to day kind of thing. That's kind of how I am with Catholicism. I enjoy getting spooked out, going to like a high mass, like not going to a mass high, which I have never done. Which wouldn't you think that I would have done that? That I would have been to a mass high? No, but I mean like a Christmas Eve, like a midnight mass at Christmas Eve, or it's just there's like a timelessness to it, or an otherworldly thing. I don't know, but
Man,
it's
I went
all
to
wrong.
my mom took me into a midnight mass when I was a kid just because she was like, "This is what we did every year when I was a little girl."
Yeah, you're Mexican, so you got to have some Catholic in you.
Yeah, oh yeah, Irish Mexican. Like,
Mhm.
remember the dude I sent you his gravestone? He built the first Catholic church in East Texas.
Oh, look at that. Okay, so you
Yeah,
got some in you.
on Irish and Mexican side. But I had never been, and I was like 10, and I was like, "This sucks."
It's not exciting.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. This is boring. I don't know the routines. I don't know the hand jive, whatever.
Jeff wants to know,
I don't know
am I
any of
one of
that.
those that won't eat meat on Fridays during Lent, but not practice the rest of the year? A holiday Catholic? No, I'm not a holiday Catholic. I'm culturally Catholic. I never, even my family, my grandma tried to do the whole fish on Friday during Lent, but I'd always go out for a burger with my grandpa, who ultimately thought the whole thing was bullshit. He just went around, he just went along with it because his wife was Catholic, you know? Yeah, no, I'm not holiday Catholic. But like I said, I enjoy the big hats. I enjoy the flowing robes. I enjoy like a Catholic funeral. You know, I enjoy the showbiz of it all.
All right. Well, back to the origin of this rabbit trail. I think one of the sketchiest professions, and we should all like take a second and think about this, is public school teacher. Because there was a thing passed around where it was like in the last 10 years, this is how many kids have been diddled by Catholic priests. And the bar goes, "Whoop." And in the last 10 years, this is how many kids have been diddled by public school teachers. "Whoop." And it was like 35,000 more than the Catholic priests. It was like 10 times as many.
Well, yeah, but that's a larger sample size. You know, there's just way more public school teachers than there are Catholic churches.
I know, but when you see the
Per
graph,
capita, let's see the per capita breakdowns.
right.
Then we might have something.
But that was kind of funny because I was thinking all the stories that we hear these days about how a hot female teacher was doing some lucky little 17-year-old senior or whatever, and we're like, oh man. Yeah, those are the ones that get caught, and that's pretty much just the tip of the iceberg, and underneath the water is thousands and thousands and thousands that don't get caught.
This is good. We should put a pin in this. We should come back and we should discuss more about sketchy professions. Okay. I had
Mm-hmm.
stuff I wanted to do today, and maybe you do as well. And maybe we can get into them. But let's do our regularly planned segment, which of course would be the nightly monologue, as presented by James Parker. Here, let's do it, folks. Please welcome into the Comfort Nest Guest House, high atop the 1%er compound in beautiful downtown Highland Park, Texas, America's fifth wealthiest zip code. I looked that up. I was.
Is it?
Yeah, I fell into this. Talk about bunny holes. I fell into a Forbes. The new Forbes list is out. I fell into a bunny hole on the Forbes list. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage James Carmichael Parker.
Yes, thank you. And bunny hole, that's not a euphemism for anything, kids.
Nope.
April is Alcohol Awareness Month. According to a new study, women who drink 2 glasses of red wine a day are 30% less likely to be overweight. The same study found that men who drink heavily don't care if women are overweight at all.
Look at that. We don't care. We're pigs.
Any port in a storm. According to a new study, how you eat a chocolate bunny for Easter, coming up this weekend. This is very timely humor, Pugs. It says a lot about your personality, how you eat the chocolate bunny. If you eat the ears first, you're an assertive person. If you eat the feet first, that means you're unconventional, like a wild card. And if you eat 5 rabbits in one sitting, you're Pug's mom.
Oh. Hey! No! No! No!
The crowd liked it. You can't take the initial reaction of the crowd back. They liked it.
Next.
Phone scammers are posing as IRS agents, and they've been swindling thousands of Americans out of millions of dollars this tax season. It's a big problem, Pugs. And the victims say the fake IRS agents are so aggressive and so abusive, they seem like real IRS agents. See, the crowd liked the mom joke better.
You hack. You think
in Odessa,
from an IRS attack? Come on, go ahead.
In Odessa, 2 women were arrested for prostitution at a massage parlor. Pugs, cops said they were rubbing customers the wrong way.
Little delay on this one. Woo!
According to a new study, 34% of college students reported smoking marijuana on spring break. The other 66% didn't know they were supposed to report it. Yeah, I know. It's not all great. According to the National Enquirer, Lady Gaga has ruined her face with plastic surgery. To give you an idea of how bad it is, she's being pestered by paparazzi who think she's Madonna. Yeah, all right, Madonna fans, I got it.
Why is she getting plastic surgery?
She doesn't need it. She needs to do something.
35? What?
Well, maybe on the nose or something. I kind of like her big nose.
I
April,
think she's pretty. I think that when she's not doing the whole gaga weird thing, she was pretty in A Star Is Born. Continue, James.
she was agreed. April, continuing Alcohol Awareness Month. I got like 16 days of jokes left for this one. According to a new study, drinking a glass of red wine offers the same benefit as an hour of exercise. And in a related story, after last weekend, my wife doesn't need to work out for another 3 years.
Look at that. Look at that. He's taking shots at his wife. Look at that.
Oh, so we can't make fun of your mom, but my wife is fair game. I see. All right. Well, today, hey, it's April 14th. This is National Ex-Spouse Day, or as Congresswoman Ilhan Omar calls it, National Brothers Day. Oh, man, that tuba felt good. It was on this day in 1894. Little history for you, Pugs. This is the day that Thomas Edison first demonstrated his kinetoscope. We call it a movie projector. Edison was widely recognized at the time as America's greatest inventor until that My Pillow guy came along. I had another one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and finally.
Wait, that one. I thought that one was had final.
No, you're sloppy. And finally, another this day in history, though, Pugs. It was on this day in 1997. Ellen DeGeneres came out of the closet as a lesbian. She made the announcement in Time magazine, which had won an intense bidding war with Captain Obvious magazine.
All right.
Because it was obvious.
Back to our previously scheduled conversation. Sketchy professions. Where is everybody tonight? We've got a very short chat room tonight. Everybody's missing. Maybe you know what it was? It was the Catholic bashing. Obviously, we've got a very big Catholic community that gathers here. It's the Holy Week, James. It is a Holy Week. Okay, so we were talking about sketchiest professions, and I've given this a little bit of thought. We've said that obviously pastors of like non-denominational evangelical type Baptist whatever churches. We also threw in there some Catholic priests, definitely a sketchy profession. Although that's not a profession, James. It's a calling. See what I mean? That's what they do. It's a calling. They're not like normal people who just get jobs. You also offered up
public school teacher.
Public school teachers.
Well, I'm not specific to public school, just school teacher.
School teachers, you say a little bit sketchy, I guess. Let me offer you one, okay?
You're going to say lawyer because that's the hack answer, isn't it?
No, I'm not going to say lawyer. Oh, I'm going to give you a good one. I'm going to give you one that's going to make you think. Hairdressers. Female hairdressers.
No way.
Sketchy as hell. They are all crazy party girls. They all cheat on their taxes. They don't pay any tax. They first of all, they rent their chairs, and especially if they're in a higher end type clientele. I'm not talking about like Nadine, who will bring you over to the trailer that Billy Bob built behind their house.
Oh, well, that's what hairdressers means in my world.
No, dude, I'm talking about hairdressers that like women go to in 1 week. It's $120 for a cut, and then the next week, because they spent all their money over the weekend on cocaine, suddenly it's $200 a cut. They make shit up as they go along. I know, I dated 2 of them. I dated 2 of them that were very involved in the high-end hair salon business. Sketchy.
Oh, see, that's the difference. I've never been wrapped up in the high-end hair salon business. For me personally, it's like Supercuts or Fantastic Sam's or whatever is nearest to the closest grocery store in that strip mall is what I go to. Like a Sports Clips or something. And then the actual independent business hairdressers that I've been exposed to are all like the lady in the country that cuts in her extra room in her house.
Who cuts in the shed that her husband built her out back or whatever. Yeah, no, those are salt of the earth types. Those people are good.
So tell me about the high end.
Oh, well, first of all, they make their money. What they do is like some dude will rent a place in a very expensive part of town, where you see these like fancy
Snyder Plaza.
Yeah, Exactly. Sure, something like that. Or, down on McKinney Avenue or something. And a dude will rent the place, and then he'll just put in like maybe 10 stations, 10 different haircutting stations.
Oh, and
And
they rent the chair? Is
and
that
then
what
they
you're gonna
rent the
say?
chairs. Yeah,
Okay.
and the girls come in. They don't work for the place. The girls come in and they rent the chairs on like, either month to month or sometime year to year, depending on if they're popular. And then they build up a clientele. So it's the individual. It's almost like the hair cutter is the rock star because people will travel. Like I knew a girl who was a hair cutter in Plano, and then she moved all the way down to like McKinney Avenue to a
Do
place.
I know the two girls, either of the two girls that you dated?
I think you might know one of them. Yeah.
Are we naming names, or is that not cool?
There no too many years past it, but yeah, no reason to. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think. I mean, no, it's a sketchy profession. I always looked at it like, so you just make up whatever you charge, and she made so much money. We're talking like stripper money. We're talking like $1,000+ a day, especially on a Saturday where they'd show up and it's all tips and haircutting. Do you know how expensive it is for a rich soccer mom to get her hair cut and dry,
No clue.
dyed or whatever? Oh, you could get out of there for $600 easily. Dude, a haircut, a woman's haircut costs like $200, $250, $300, depending on how good.
No, because
Absolutely,
my
100.
wife has a guy that she went to when we were in New Orleans. She had
Mhm.
known him for years. That was her dude. And she would be in and out, and it would be fast, and it would be like $60. If he colored her hair, it would be like $150.
Mhm.
And I was like,
Yeah, that
"Oh,
sounds
I didn't know you
reasonable.
had a gay friend." She's like, "He's not gay."
Oh,
I was
sure.
like, "What?" No, he has a wife and 2 kids, and
All right, let's move on from the hairdressers because I do have another profession that is sketchy. Are you ready for this one? Another one, another personal service. A lot of these are personal service jobs. A lot of the people who do the personal service game, they're sketchy as hell. Personal trainers.
yes, yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and that might just end the conversation. Oh my God, why didn't I think of that first? Because we know them. How many of these losers do we know? I mean, these guys are cleaning up actually, but it's a
Well,
sex thing. It's an absolute sex thing. First
I
off, you have to be so vain that you want to do
right,
that,
right.
and then you
We
you
start
have
off from a very weird place where, you're so narcissistically obsessed with your personal or your personal, but I do need to say this. I have 2 friends who are very high-end personal trainers, and actually they're more like athletic trainers because they work with sports teams and they work with high-end athletes and stuff, and they're not sketchy. They're not the ones that come to the house, when the husband's at work and do the yoga session for the or stretching. Or that's not what I'm talking. But those are the guys who I'm talking about. But my friends are like almost professional athlete type level guys who don't do that other thing. But yes, the
no,
one
that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the guys who move in on the girls and you want another session, and we could do this at your house or.
worst.
Dude, dude, that's so funny you say that because
So
I had like
sketchy.
the you know how sketchy radio is, right? Well,
Oh, very.
I had this sketchy coworker that lost a bunch of weight and got in shape, and then he started trying to sleep with everyone at work, and he actually nailed a couple of them, right? But he tried with all of them, and when he got laid off, he immediately became a personal trainer and just started sleeping with everyone he could, and eventually lost his job at the gym for sleeping with clients and coworkers, and then just went to another gym and started it all over.
Now, is that because when he was fat, he like wasn't getting
Yes,
any and all that,
yes,
and he
it's
just
exactly what it
overcompensated to
is, and
catch up?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly what it was.
Jeff Glenn says real estate agents and home inspectors are also sketchy AF. Real estate agents, absolutely. I don't know much about the home inspector game.
Well, I think real estate agents, the ones that are sketchy, are kind of a shock because they seem so professional. But I don't know enough about home inspectors to even have an opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. Jeff, that sounds oddly specific and comes from some personal experience that you've had with a
Yeah,
home inspector.
you're not having fun
Um,
in the real estate world, there, Jeff.
how about this one? Auto mechanics.
Could be, yeah, the guys that just reattach a hose and they're like, that'll be $300.
Or the guys that tell you that they replaced something and they charge you for it because it really needed to be done, and then you have a situation 3 months later, and you're like, "But I just got a brand new one," and the other mechanic is like, "That thing's not new. That came right off the assembly line with the car." I mean, they're sketchy. They do. My poor mother. My poor mother used to, and she wouldn't allow it, but they tried to take advantage of her all the time because they'd see a woman coming in. Just pieces of shit. They're just all pieces of shit. All right. Now, can I just tell you the absolute worst profession one can choose that would absolutely signify you as being sketchy as hell?
Porn star?
No.
Oh, stop it.
That's
Don't
a
defend the
truly
good name of the
no.
porn star.
I will defend it to my heart. That is a completely honest, upfront way of life. Those people aren't hiding anything. They're not being sketchy. I mean, unless you want to say that, sex is sketchy. No, I don't think that. I'm certain that there is some sketchy people involved in the porn industry.
Thank you.
But from personal experience, but then again, the ones that I would become friends with wouldn't be sketchy. I would become friends with them because they're so interesting in other ways. At any rate, no, stand-up comedians. Stand-up comedians are some of the sketchiest people you will ever meet in your life. They are just. Which brings me to my next topic that I wanted to bring up. So last night we ended up with a group of people. Went out with Schwartz, went out with E, went out with Schwartz's lovely lady friend, and we found ourselves, James, at Hyenas Comedy Club in Mockingbird Station for open mic night.
Oh, it's a mixed bag, isn't it?
No, not a mixed bag at all.
What they kill it?
All horseshit. It was not a mixed bag at all. It was all. That's not true. Scott Crisp, but he's a known local commodity who probably was just looking for a stage to try some new jokes and stuff. And even then, he killed it. Scott. This was very interesting. It was just all of these, and I want to talk a little bit about that whole scene, the open mic scene, if you got a second here. And you do. You got 27 minutes as far as I'm concerned.
All yours.
So Scott Crisp was a name that I kept hearing over and over again from Paco, our friend Paco Clint, who passed away. They were very good friends. And Paco used to always tell me, "You got to see this guy. This kid is so good." And he was a couple of years younger than Paco, but he's probably in his. How old was Paco? Is he your age?
Paco was like 3 years younger than me.
Okay, yeah, because he started with us when he was like, he started as
19.
a caller when he was 17. Yeah, but that was when he first started calling into the
He might have been like 5 years younger than me.
Okay, so this dude is probably in his early to mid 30s, and in the scene that Paco rose up very quickly, and being the Dallas Observer's and Dallas Morning News Comedian of the Year on occasions, he was a multi-time. He loved that. Especially and he hated comedy. Paco absolutely despised comedy. He hated stand-up comics. He hated the whole scene, but he needed to be up on stage just mumbling into the microphone saying some absolutely brilliant stuff. But he used to tell me over and over again that the best guy on the scene is Scott Crisp. This kid is brilliant. I love this kid. This kid is, and he called him a kid, and it was so funny to hear Paco calling somebody else a kid, right? Like he's the storied old man of the scene at this point.
The elder gentleman.
So we go to the show last night, and it's just one after another of nothing. And then the guy says, the MC goes, "Okay, now welcome to our stage. This is a bit of a treat. He's a local headliner, blah blah blah, Scott Crisp." And I'm like, "Holy shit! We're here by happenstance." And this is the guy that Paco always told me that I had to see. So he got up, slayed the room because he's a pro. Even Schwartz leaned over to me and he goes, "Yeah, he's a different level than the rest of these people." I go, "Yeah, he's just really good." I saw him outside. So I went outside and I went up to him and I introduced myself, and he was like, "Oh man, it's so nice to meet you. Paco used to talk about you all the time, blah, blah." And so we had a nice little moment talking about Paco and all of that kind of stuff. So he was tremendous. He was terrific. I can't wait to find him somewhere where he's going to do like a full set where I can see like the full banana, the full Magilla that Paco used to tell me about. But everybody else, James, let me be let me be clear about this, okay? I'm not saying that they're terrible and that they shouldn't be doing it, but it's so raw. It was just a bunch of kids who obviously don't have much stage time, and a lot of their jokes were ill-advised. It's just like they didn't have rhythm, they didn't have confidence. Some of them were more polished and more confident than some of the others, and their jokes were just terrible. But then there are other people who you could see you could see an origin of a joke, and you're just like, yeah, but you don't know how to tell that joke yet because you're 21 years old and you're nervous and you're scared. But okay, I can see that you know how to write a joke. It was it's quite a thing, James. It's quite a thing. Here I am as this like old man, and easy for me to say because I'm, and you are as well. I mean, we're not stand-up comedians, so I don't mean to diminish the skill involved here because the ones that are good do things that I could never do. But if somebody gave us a microphone and forced us to go up on stage in front of 50 people on an open mic night and talk, we would be able to do that confidently. We would be able to just kind of, because that's what we do. This radio is we're not afraid to talk publicly. We're not afraid. So that was a big problem with a lot of the kids. A lot of the kids did not have their confidence yet.
They hold the microphone like way down here and stuff. God, I hate that. Stop it.
And their mic techniques, many of them's mic technique was so bad on stage that I started to call it the sigh of regret. Where they'd tell a joke and it would bomb and they wouldn't know how to use the microphone properly. So it would be like, and that's what my mother said. You would like hear them breathing because they don't know how to take the mic away. And it's like, oh, that's the sigh of regret because the room is just dead after their line. But some of them were fine. Nobody. I'm a great audience. We were a great audience, James. We were giving them the yeah, all right, woo! Everybody coming to the stage, getting around.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for if you're a comic.
Yeah, don't be the asshole. If you're going to an open mic night, don't expect to see Dave Chappelle from 1999. You know what I mean? You're there, you're seeing kids. It's not your job to be like, you suck. I mean, these are kids. Be encouraging. Just be nice, whatever. They're scared. Be a decent human being and encourage them. So we were that table. We were like, yeah, do it. Like, even when the jokes were cringy, we would give them the, ha, all right. Like stuff, giving them something. Because there were so many people giving them absolutely nothing. There was there were crickets like going on nowhere. But there were some, without naming any names, there were some that are just so misguided in their career path. Like they have no right. How dare you think that you can do that? How dare you and they all have the look. Like they're all dressed like someone. It's like they all went through the Netflix specials and said, okay, I'm going to wear that hoodie. And I'm going to wear those Jordans. And I'm going to wear that. They all have the clothing look down. There was a stand-up comedy look in the 1980s where everybody wore a t-shirt and a sport coat. Right? That was the thing. The Jerry Seinfeld thing with the sport coat or, because I got a sport coat because I'm respectable, but a t-shirt because I'm a wild man. It was like that whole thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to get all formal on you, but I'm not a piece of trash off the street either. Yeah.
But I got a sport coat on because I was born in the 1930s and I wore sport coats to baseball games with my dad growing up. It was like a different generation. But now the stand-up comedy look, especially among the,
it's the t-shirt with the random logo right in the center of the chest.
Or crazy saying. T-shirt with a crazy saying.
Yeah, yeah, and then the hoodie.
In the hoodie, skinny jeans, and really excellent shoes. That's Schwartz and I at some point just started. I started just commenting. So I don't want to say anything bad about their jokes, but I would just rate them based on their shoes. I got that dude.
What? You pay attention to shoes that much? I don't think I even noticed things like that.
Oh, no, you would have noticed them. They were all wearing like brand new, really cool kinds of shoes. like
throwback Jordans or Air Force Ones or something.
Yeah, but they like, apparently within the stand-up comedy world, the whole sneaker thing, there are sneakerheads.
Oh
Sneakerheads is
yeah.
a very real thing. They all looked like they must have had closets filled with
Oh,
sneakers
that was the
because they
thing.
were all sneakerheads.
Dude, in the rap scene, it was all about your damn sneakers, and I
Yeah,
failed everyone's litmus test when it came to footwear.
because you were 10-year-old kids.
Yeah, I've had these Chuck Taylors since I don't know, freaking Clinton was president.
I am a shoe whore. I have a lot of shoes.
You do?
Oh yeah, I probably have 40 pairs of shoes in my closet right now. Yeah,
Whoa,
full out. And
whoa!
they're not all gym shoes. They're all different kinds of shoes. I've got multiple pairs of like what are called what are they? Chelsea boots. I like my Chelsea boots with my cool ass. I got stuff. I got hiking boots. I got Timberlands. I got almost all the brands from Adidas to Puma to Nike to Chuck Taylor's to I got them all. Oh, and you want to hear something really humiliating?
Yes.
Over the weekend we went to Top Golf in my kid because he doesn't think anything through. It's the thing with 12-year-olds, right? They don't think anything through. They don't plan ahead. We were going to Top Golf, and my kid shows up for the weekend with just flip-flops. That's all. He's just wearing flip-flops. I'm like, dude, you don't have gym shoes? We're going to a birthday party. And he's like, no. He's like, Dad, let me just wear a pair of your gym shoes. And I'm like, ha, come on, man. No, I don't have any shoes that can fit you. And he goes, what size you wear? I go, 11. He goes, I wear an 11 and a half.
Oh.
My 12-year-old son wore a pair of my shoes from my incredible shoe collection, and they were too tight. Oh my God, did I feel? I was like, oh, I wanted to cry.
Is he done growing then? Is that what that means?
I don't think he's done growing. I don't know. I hope he's not done growing, because if he's done growing, then he's going to be like 5'9" or 10 his whole life. But I think he's got a little bit more to go. He's big. He's big. He's a big.
I saw him at Christmas. He was pretty big.
He's a big dude for 12 years old. Still one of the biggest kids in his class. Still, offensive lineman on the football team. So it's like, we're going to put you in the center position.
Well, now that you bring up stand-up comedy, you know what the weird thing about New Orleans is they have 0 comedy clubs, not one.
Really? There's not an improv, or there's not like
It's a metropolitan area of 1.2 million people, and they have a little bit of a scene.
Okay.
But
it's at bars with like, there are bars with a stage, but there is no comedy club like we have.
Right. Here. It's exactly what it is. So, there's the closest one, there's a place called Shenanigans. And you would think that sounds like a comedy club.
Sounds like a comedy club. Like,
they do comedy one night a month. Night a month.
What do they do the rest of the time? Shenanigans.
Yeah. The thing New Orleans has plenty of that, on a per capita basis that is ridiculous is musicians. And so there's some guy that just got a jazz.
Absolutely. Yeah. You rule the world in the jazz club scene. So,
no, you're wrong. They go out there and they play Don't Stop Believing. They play Everybody's Working for the Goddamn Weekend. They play all the songs that I was sick to death of in 1991, and they can't get away from it. And I'm tired of freaking cover bands. And I called it, the whole scene was, I just call it the Metairie cover band scene, because there was like, and these dudes were huge. These cover bands were huge. They would play like festivals and stuff. Everybody's working for the weekend. And you're like,
do they play with those instruments because it's New Orleans, or is it just completely
sometimes?
I want to see that. I want to see one of them black funeral bands playing "Working for the Weekend."
A brass band would do that, but the worst would be like there was this one group called the Top Cats, and I swear to God, these a-holes would follow me around. I would go to some fundraiser, they'd be there. I'd go to a station event, they'd be there. I'd go to a music festival, they'd be there. I would go to like some parade, and they'd be playing at the end of it. And I was like, God damn it, are these dudes following me around? These dudes were all like 60 years old, not that that's like geriatric, but it's too old to be playing Shake Your Tail Feather. They were doing a Nelly cover of Shake Your Tail Feather.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's like makes me embarrassed to be white And then it was like a scandal because one of the big ones is the band's called Bag of Donuts, and they would play almost all 80s songs. And the lead singer, like they had a tour bus. I don't know where the hell they went, but they had a bus with like all their pictures on it, and they were all in makeup all the time. Like one was dressed like Gene Simmons, and another one's dressed like the Devo
So they
guy.
played like 80s rock music?
Yeah, almost
Do you get
exclusively.
the name there? Do you get the Bag of Donuts name?
I don't. Why Bag of Donuts?
There was a every radio station, every local market in America in the 1980s, their rock station used the same commercial, and it was a big fat guy just dancing on a street corner, and then the local station would just superimpose their calls and whatever on it, and that guy's name was Joey Bag of Donuts, so that came to be synonymous with 80s rock and roll radio.
Oh my God. Okay, so wow, you just finished a plot line that's just been hanging in my head for a decade. So Joey from Bag of Donuts, he was their lead singer.
Oh, Joey! There you go.
Yeah, it was funny because it became kind of a news story in New Orleans. He developed a cocaine problem,
wow.
And it just blew my mind because I just wanted to like grab this guy and shake him. It's like, you're not really a rock star. You're not in a real band. You don't get to have a cocaine habit when you're in a cover band on the weekends. Damn it. He's probably like a home inspector during the week that Jeff loves.
Right. His wife's a hairstylist.
But they had to replace Joey from the Bag of Donuts because he couldn't stay off of cocaine and he kept getting arrested.
Well, here, James, this is the commercial, and you were probably too young to know it, but this is the Joey Bag of Donuts radio commercial. And every market in the country aired this commercial. They just superimposed their stations.
Oh, is he a Trump voter? It's like a MAGA hat.
It does, doesn't it? It really does. Well, here you go. Here's the commercial. Okay. Here's the commercial that radio consultants thought was so strong. Every station in America had this. And there were, if I remember, and I do remember, there were like big fights over which radio station you'd have to outbid for this particular commercial to put your station logo over it. I mean, it was a thing. Let's see what station this is for.
In Excess, huh?
80s rock. It was just if you were an 80s rock station, this was your commercial. And he would do this for a little bit, and then at the end, here, see what station. Look at that! That was totally by happenstance. That was totally and it turned out to be my radio station. That's awesome. That is great. Anyway, yeah, that was farmed out to every market in America. Oh, is this another one? I think this might be another Joe.
You can just put any song under that.
Oh yeah.
Pull it up on the screen. Hey, lady.
Why am I only in? Oh, Erica was our loop girl, so they must have super. You know what? Maybe that just originated with us. Maybe the loop originated that, but I know that they farmed it out to all these other radio stations across the country, and it became a thing because I remember it was a thing. I remember in other stations. Anyway, yeah, maybe it did. Maybe it's, well, now that I'm putting it all together. Yeah.
Well, how would the guys in New Orleans know about it if it wasn't outside of Chicago?
Yeah, and they would just superimpose. Because I remember seeing.
No one in New Orleans told me where that came from. No one in New Orleans knows that it came from this dumb fat guy
who did 80s rock and roll radio commercials, Joey Bag of Donuts. And that cool. Makes sense why an 80s rock and roll cover band would be called Bag of Donuts.
Freaking hate them.
All right. Yeah.
And it's not that they're bad. They're excellent musicians and they do a good version of the songs, but I've heard they just show up everywhere. But there's another one. There's another cover band. One of them was called the Top Cats is the one that followed me around, which I thought was a horrible name. There's another one called Category 6, which Pugs, the rankings for Hurricanes, it starts at Category 1 and it goes to Category 5, but this band is Category 6. So
they must really blow. Seems like they're walking themselves right up to an insult.
There was another one called the Molly Ringwalds.
Like it. I like it.
You wouldn't like because there's like 6 of these bands and they're huge and they just end up everywhere you fucking go.
What was the band that was here? There was a band here in Dallas back in the day.
Back in Black was awesome.
Yeah, but they were just AC/DC. The
AC/DC.
M80s. It was the M80s. The M80s were the band that did
Okay, yeah,
80s
right.
stuff.
But it's not like it's an own scene amongst itself. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like it just really pisses you off because we are surrounded by tens of thousands of jazz guitar graduates from Loyola, from Tulane, from Xavier, from Dillard, from that's just the Frenchman Street, the French Quarter, and I've got to walk down Bourbon Street, and if I turn into a bar, I'm gonna hear just a small town girl living in a lonely world. We're leaving. Anytime I hear Bob Seger, I just leave. No questions asked. No second guessing. No finishing your drink. Just close your tab. Get the hell out.
You turn the page on that one, do you?
Yeah, I turned the page. Right. I made some night moves. Yeah.
Because every time you hear it, it's still the same.
Oh, that is so beautiful. So beautiful.
You don't like that good time old rock and roll?
No, I like the old time rock and roll. Yeah.
I'm out. That's it. I've exhausted my Bob Seger knowledge.
Hey, do we have time to talk about the one story I wanted to talk about today?
Oh, we got time.
Man,
I'm not the one with a wife who's frisky. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't like my odds tonight. But all right, so there's like the number of geniuses in the world, it gets mixed up because like 1 out of 100 people is a genius. No, it's more like 1 out of 1,000. But you think, you live in a metropolitan area of like 5 million people. So if 1 out of 1,000 is a genius, that means there's like what 50,000 geniuses running around.
What is genius? 170 on the IQ? Isn't that what genius
I think
is?
It's more like 140 or something. I think it's a little. No, it's not. It's up there.
Because I'm not a genius, and I'm
Um.
And I mean, I know this because I'm like, oh, does that make me a genius? They're like, nah, you're this many short. I'm like, oh.
So what that really means
it's a lot short too, by the way. It's 170 is the number, I believe. Maybe 168, something like that.
Wow. Okay. So what that means is geniuses are really hard to come by. There's not a lot of them. Just on a per capita basis, there's very few of them. But when you get a large crowd together, someone in there is a genius. Someone in each population is just a freaking genius. So whether you're talking about priests or public school teachers or rappers or stand-up comedians or cover bands, every once in a while, like geniuses just pop up. And so there's this dude that, I mean, he's my new hero. He was going to prison in New Jersey. He identified as a woman, so they sent him to the women's prison, and he knocked up 2 of his inmates. I'm so proud of him. Like, I'm so happy for him. I'm like, if he got 2 of them pregnant, like, how many is he smashing? And it's like, you know what?
He played the system and went to prison and had lots of sex because he determined, right? So he's obviously not trans, but for the purpose of his prison stay, he decided that he was going to become trans. And because it's such a woke sort of penal system there, no pun intended, they just kind of mainlined him right into the female prison.
So he is locked. He is locked in a facility with the most morally compromised ladies New Jersey has to offer, and they can't get it anywhere else. He's got the only ding dong in the place. Actually, I looked it up. There's 27 trannies in the New Jersey penal system, and so I imagine most of those are dudes going as chicks.
Now, hold on, wait a second, because let me just hit the brakes on this for 1 second. Do we know that he was fraudulently tranny, or was he truly legitimate?
They're all fraudulently tranny, Pugs.
No. I mean, no. What I'm saying is because there are no other men, he did have the plumbing. So, maybe the plumbing, they just made the plumbing work. Did he enjoy it? I guess that's the question. I choose to believe that he did this as a scam so that he could get laid. But I don't know that that's because I read the story too.
Look. It's kind of hard for me to understand because I don't know what's going on in their head anyway. But my tranny friend, who I hope to introduce you to soon, is a dude that likes to be a chick, and he is still attracted to chicks, and he is not attracted to dudes at all. He's never done anything with dudes. He's never done dude sex. And like, it's funny because he gets nervous when there's like a hot chick in the room because like he has no game because he's been in radio his whole life and he's never had to like develop a game.
Radio people have great game. What are you talking about?
Well, some
more
of them who
confident than us.
look, when you've worked at a cool station for like the first 20 years of your career, you didn't have to develop a game. Women just showed up and they were like, "Oh, my mouth is empty," you know.
That's true. That's true.
So it's funny. Yeah, I'm just really proud of this guy, and if I go to prison, may it be in New Jersey. And I'm just going to identify as the chick. And it's funny because it's one of the things that you and I and all of our friends probably joked about. It's like, well, if that's the case, and if I ever go to prison, I'm just going to identify as a woman and I'm going to clean house. This dude actually did our fantasy. He's living the dream.
There you go.
Like, I don't want to be in prison, but if I have to go to prison, dang it. That's the archetype I'm going to follow.
Yeah, I might suddenly become trans. Yes. If I am looking at like, a stay, courtesy of the government, I will absolutely at that point decide that I am going to be a trans person. Although women's prisons, I've seen depictions of women's prisons. I don't know that I would fare much better in a women's prison than I would. There are some scary women in there, like big women, like big, mean women who were raised far differently than you and I. Like my first response wouldn't be to shank somebody with a broken broomstick, right? But there are women in there that are like this. I don't know how I would do. All right, since we're talking about heroes, can I bring up one more male hero?
Johnny Segway.
Here we go. So you like that guy? He's a genius.
Hero.
How about Al Pacino? Can we just all for a moment just give it up for Al Pacino?
See, now I got to guess what you're going to pick out of the Al Pacino persona that makes him a hero.
Go ahead. You want to take a guess?
The thing I like about Al Pacino is, I guess he's Italian, right?
Probably, yeah. I don't know. He could be Hispanic. I don't know. I
know, but
he's very convincing as Tony Montana. But
I know exactly, and he had such a horrible Spanish accent, and I don't mean like from Spain, but I mean a guy who, if Spanish was your first language, that's not how you would talk.
Pacino sounds Italian to me, so
right. So
Michael Corleone, so.
Right, but the thing that cracks me up about Al Pacino is he kind of does the thing that like Nick Cage and so many other people do, where he's pretty much the same dude in every movie, and I like that. Okay, he was born Alfredo James Pacino. Okay,
he's Italian. Yeah, probably New York Italian. Here's Al Pacino is 81 years old. First of all, did you know he was that old?
Well, I just Googled it, so yes. But no, I didn't know he was that old. I would have guessed something like that, I guess.
Al Pacino is 81 years old, and here, let me show you this. Al Pacino has a new girlfriend. We're going to have to do the math here, James. We're going to have to do the is it appropriate game.
Nope. That's already a no, because you know what the rule is. It's half your age plus 7, right?
Yeah, Al Pacino's new girlfriend is 28 years old. He's 81 and she's 28. There she is right there. And this is an interesting one now. This is not, just some bimbo that, is just using him for his money. She's 28 years old. He's 81. She comes from an extraordinarily wealthy and highly socialite family that is well connected. Her last boyfriend, who she broke up with, was Mick Jagger. And now she's with Al Pacino. And that's her right there. We're looking at her. Her name is...
So she likes wrinkles, huh? That's her jam.
Hey, whatever. Here's what it said. The 81-year-old actor Al Pacino started dating Mick Jagger's ex-girlfriend, 28-year-old socialite Noor Al-Fala sometime during the pandemic. She mostly dates very rich older men. She has been with Al for some time now, although they've just now gone public. And they get on very well. The age gap doesn't seem to be a problem, even though he is older than her father. He's probably older than her grandfather. There's a 54-year age difference.
Very likely older than her grandfather. The cool part is she's younger than Scarface.
Yeah, she was. She's
right. Like his 10th big movie is older than she is.
So when would she have been born?
How old is she now?
She's 28 years old. So 30 years ago.
So 94.
Yeah. Oh God, she's post-dates Scarface by a decade.
Yeah.
Dude, she was born during Scent of a Woman era Al Pacino. That's like that when he won his Oscar. This is so Al Pacino, whatever. And she says that she just prefers older men, and that's she's always been
Clearly.
into older men. She's got a history, and she's not using them for money because she's got her own money. She comes from big money. And look at Al. I love if you look at that picture of Al, he's like, yeah, what do you want from me? He's got 81.
Hey, what am I supposed to do? Turn it down?
Yeah. He's like, whatever. She's beautiful. She's a model. She's rich. She's a socialite. So sue me. I'm Al Pacino. And I was reading the comments here on this story, and kind of dawned on me. There's a lot of comments. Oh, as you can imagine, there's a lot of people with thoughts. James, almost 100% of the women are just so pissed. Whereas almost 100% of the men are like, good for Al. Good for Al. He's going to be dead soon. Let him go out on a high note. He's probably enjoying it.
Right.
81's got to suck. There's got to be something.
All right, so why are the girls pissed? Are the girls pissed? Is because, like, man, I have a hard enough time getting a date. I don't need these 28-year-old usurpers coming stealing from fishing out of my pond. Is that the complaint?
I don't know. They're just all the women who are and
I bet you all the women that are complaining are over 28. There's not a 26-year-old that's like, no, that's wrong.
And that is what I think the motivation for a lot of the anger is. I think that this is a lot of women who I don't think that women appreciate women. I don't know if you've heard this or not, James, but women can be catty. Women can be very catty with one another.
I've suspected that for a long time, but no one's ever said it before.
So what I think is happening here is you probably have a lot of very lovely 40 plus women who are still, in my book, they're still very dateable. Don't, hey, I can turn that around, turn that away. But I'm not Al Pacino. If I was Al Pacino, the pond might be a little deeper for me. You know what I mean? I might be able to fish in a lot different streams. But my point is, I think it's, I think women have a more difficult time with aging than guys do. Guys typically don't really give a shit. It's like what freaks us out, what freaks men out about aging is their mortality. What freaks women out about aging is their appearance, is that they somehow think that they are no longer viable or sexy, which I happen to think is incorrect. But I mean, I understand how society sort of dictates that narrative and how women might feel that way. So I think it's an anger and a jealousy at like younger women, or not necessarily at her as much as at him. Like they're mad at him for going after a younger woman, which I just find really interesting. Any thoughts on that? Why might they be mad at him?
No, I know exactly what it is. The thing that men bring to the table when it comes to relationship time, and I don't mean who you're going to date on Saturday night, but who you're going to get married and live with forever and live happily ever after, is our ability to provide resources, the wealth that we bring to the table, either that we earn or we inherited or wherever it came from.
But again, let's
just generally speaking, and for women, it's beauty.
But let me point out for Jeff, who's commenting in the chat room, she has more money than Al Pacino. Her father is an investment banker billionaire. So she's not with him for the money. He's calling her a gold digger. And you're just wrong about that. I would have gone that way too, Jeff. I would have thought that too. But no, she is her father's like they're like Middle Eastern. So they got that like Middle Eastern money. They got that.
That's some real money.
That's real money. That's like Texas money. That's real money. Go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
People that strike oil end up with money. So the thing is age isn't that important for guys because we can still have kiddos when we're 81. And so that's not a deal breaker if someone wants to get married and reproduce. Because the dirty little secret, whether it's a rap song talking about women or if it's a country song or if it's just two grown people, it's really all about the same thing every living thing's about. It's propagation of the species. It's about reproduction. And the men can still do the biological reproduction. Their importance comes from our ability to provide resources. Women, it is very limited to those reproductive years. And if you're in those reproductive years, things are okay. But once you start getting out of those, that's when the cattiness starts. That's when you start to get to the twilight of those reproductive years. You cannot compete with anyone that's still in the reproductive years. You can't.
I don't think 81-year-old Al Pacino is looking to reproduce.
No, he's not. He's not. But that is that the synapses that are firing and the chemical reactions that are happening in parts of the brain that we don't understand are still always going to be pointed. That the target is going to be zeroed over these factors. And so, I mean, that's the same thing with boobs. You know, we don't want a flat chick because how are you going to feed them babies? And right, and whether we admit it or not,
hips, the big booty, because you need
you don't need to be some starving flat ass girl. You need to be able to support my babies, and whether we admit it or not, we're still at some base level. We are animals, and we are seeking that out, and it's a visceral reaction that no one can control, and it's not fair to older women, and it's not fair to broke guys, but it is.
It is the way of the world. Here's what I think in this specific situation, what this is about with Al Pacino. And it's not much of a stretch to say that, yeah, he's 81 years old, but he still likes hot girls, right? Okay, that doesn't really go away.
Well, he could have the hottest 61-year-old girl in the world.
He doesn't want that because that's not hot to him. Let me finish. This is exactly where I think he's going. I think that when Al Pacino looks at himself in the mirror these days, he no longer sees young Michael Corleone, who was a heartthrob. He no longer sees Serpico, who if he no longer sees, the 70s film icon who women used to lust after. He doesn't see Tony Montana. He sees this broken down 81-year-old man, and his own sense of his personal virility is probably tied to his belief that he can still date the kind of women that he did when he was 35. And having a girlfriend like this on his arm when he walks into a restaurant in New York City on Saturday night gives him a certain sense, false as it may be, but a certain sense that he is still a virile, desirable young man when he's not. He's a gross old codger, but he doesn't care.
But you can't turn off your brain chemistry. You can't turn off 2 million years of human evolution, survival of the fittest, and reproductive prime directive. No, you can't do that. And women can't do it either. And so they know when they start to get a little dusty downstairs that they can't turn that off either.
Dusty downstairs.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice, but yeah.
Queefing dust.
I didn't say it.
After you were going though.
I was attempting poetry there. I thought that was very poetic.
All right. You attempted it. I don't know.
Did you say queef?
I said queef and dust. I said, that's what happens. Hey, did you see John Hinckley sold out all his shows in New York?
Did you see that story? Shows?
Oh, he's going on tour. John Hinckley's going on tour, man.
We gotta go, man. Is he gonna be in Dallas? It's a hot ticket. Can we get one?
Let me tell you something.
Let's go.
Let me tell you something.
Is Jodie Foster going?
He's announced. He hasn't announced the full tour. He's just trying this one show at a time. So he announced a show in Brooklyn at some hipster kind of place, and it sold out immediately.
This needs to be the Never Ending Quest tour.
Yeah.
And I want a freaking t-shirt, and I want it now.
Right? I have a friend who actually lives in Williams. Is it Williamsport? Wherever it is, whatever the hipster central is. He lives there in Brooklyn. I will pay him. Well, I don't have any money, but if I did, I would tell him, you must go to the show and you must get me and James concert shirts. We must have John Hinckley live t-shirts. That would be my most prized article of clothing. That would be my favorite thing. So he hasn't announced other dates. I think he wants to see how it goes. I think he wants to see how the first show. But he will definitely come to Dallas. It's his hometown. This will be his homecoming show.
Right?
Shows are the good ones, man. I think Smashing Pumpkins at the World Music Theater at the end of their 90s.
They might be able to open for him.
No, but I mean, the homecoming show is always the big one. So, yeah, it would make perfect sense for him to come here.
The Never Ending Quest tour. Because that's the song that's playing right now, right?
He's gone out. He's got a full band. He's working with a full band.
So there's some guy out there right now that's trying to pick up a chick at a bar. What do you do for a living? I'm John Hinckley's drummer. Who?
He's currently unsigned. Isn't this a no-brainer for some punk label to sign him. I mean, is there anything more punk than John Hinckley?
Right.
Than having John Hinckley on your label? You want to talk about being antisocial. Of course, at that point, we wouldn't be able to play the music anymore.
Don't sign him. We don't need the copyright problems.
His independent stature is why I'm able to use this as my closing theme. All right, James, thank you. We'll see you. There you go. No more shows. We'll be back on Monday. Monday will be the next time you see us.
Happy Easter.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Happy Holy Week to you. There you go.
Yep.
All right, there he goes. That's James Parker. He's out of here. Out like the wind. As always, support the show if you can, any way, shape, or form. I want to get this done. I don't want to be panicked like I was last month when I left it till the last week. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, you want to help support the show, keep us going, keep us doing these 2 streams that we do each and every day. Treat me like your bartender, treat me like your barista, treat me like, I don't know, I'm parking your car or something. Consider it that way. It's a tip. Other than that, we'll see you tomorrow at noon. We'll do a high noon show tomorrow. Love you all. Be well. Bye-bye. That is all I need. I don't need no 401. I don't have degree. You know what, Jeff Glenn? Hold on. Jeff Glenn just said something very interesting. It says that he doesn't have a website and he probably doesn't have T-shirts. If that is in fact the case, I promise you there will be bootleg T-shirts being sold out in front. Everybody who attends that show is attending this show as a goof. They'll all want a T-shirt. Maybe we should just fly to Brooklyn with a big old box of homemade John Hinckley tour shirts and just sell them right there. If he doesn't have merch, we'll provide the merch for him. Down the road I'll travel. He tried to kill an American president. We don't even have to really feel guilty about it. We don't have to feel guilty about nothing. Yeah, Jeff, you and me. We'll load up the truckster with a bunch of T-shirts and we'll head on out to Brooklyn. We'll be out in front selling T-shirts of the John Hinckley World Tour to people who want to, $20. I'm not going to give him a cut. See, that's the thing. I ain't getting him a cut. Normally, I would give anybody else a cut, but it's okay not to give him a cut because he tried to kill the president of the United States, right? It's like we don't have to. You know what I'll do? Instead of giving him a cut, I will donate it to the James Brady Foundation. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. James Brady, Reagan's press secretary, shot in the head, died a couple of years ago. Life was ruined. I know this sounds strange. Jeff is like, you gotta get him on the show. I don't know if I want him on the show. I don't want to. All right, bye, everybody. I am on a never-ending quest.